Hello, everyone. I'm Matthew.
Hello, everyone. My name is Aliet.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joe.
Hi, I'm Katya, and this is our group membership speech. Oops. Imagine a society with no laws, traditions, jobs, or institutions. That would be chaos, right? How do you think this kind of society would function? Do you think people in that society would be motivated to work together? Would they be thinking about what their effort and performance could achieve? Would people trust each other in that type of environment? Probably not. There would be no sense of community, and it probably wouldn't even be called a society at that point. A basic structure of laws, responsibilities, and consequences is needed to motivate people to keep growing together as a society. A group functions the same exact ways. Groups need roles, norms, motivation, and trust to succeed and achieve things greater than an individual ever could.
Today, we hope to enhance your understanding of how motivation and trust plays a part in groups through group roles, group norms, and the expectancy theory of motivation. The expectancy theory of motivation isn't something everyone knows the definition of, but it's likely that most of you are aware of the concepts behind it, and that most of you have had it integrated in your group without even knowing it.
Group roles and group norms are an essential part to any group. They can arise naturally as the group progresses or can be established through communication based off group members' abilities and talents. The expectancy theory of motivation also in part governs these roles and norms, along with trust being a crucial component that glues everything together. In this speech, we'll cover all of the components of how group roles, norms, the expectancy theory of motivation, and trust. On top of that, we will try to extend your understanding further by relating everything to our group and explaining the journey that our group went through when developing and establishing group norms and roles, how we utilize the expectancy theory of motivation for our group, and how we learn to develop trust with one another.
Now let's get into group roles and group norms. In our group, finding roles is something that happened very quickly, but then needed to evolve over time. Very quickly, a group can decide who they feel most comfortable trusting and who is the best facilitator. Certain members naturally adapted to certain roles, while others needed more facilitation. What takes work is making sure those roles are performing to the fullest extent. This is something our group has had to work on as we work on scheduling meeting times and equally dividing work. After evaluating our skills and talents, together we decided which group member falls into which role. We thought that the initiator coordinator is Katya, the elaborator is Matt, the coordinator is Joe, and the evaluator critic is me.
You might be thinking, what are all of these group roles anyways, and what do they do? Well, according to our textbook, Introduction to Group Communication by Vendetti and McLean, published in 2012, page 116, initiator coordinators suggest new ideas or new ways of looking at the problems. Elaborators builds on these ideas and provides examples. Coordinator brings in ideas and information together, and the evaluator evaluates and criticizes constructively. While having to define these textbook group roles for one another was important, we were also able to identify some other roles that were unique for our group. Some group members took initiative for creative aspects, while others made sure that we covered the prompt. Some double-check grammar issues, while others are responsible for turning in the assignments.
The positive of group roles. According to an article by Washington University in St. Louis, a private research university published in 2022, assigning group roles can be a beneficial strategy for successful group work designed for a number of reasons. Group roles provide an opportunity for high quality focused interaction, a clear path for participation, strengthens communication, prevents one person from doing all the work, sets individual accountability, keeps a group motivated and on task, and finally, they build a sense of community, especially in virtual groups. As soon as our group assigned specific roles to another, our productivity went up. We also got more peace of mind knowing exactly what each of us were responsible for. We started to work more as one mind than as separate ones.
However, not all roles are positive. There are both positive and negative group roles. Negative roles can make work difficult by doing things such as being avoidant. Negative roles or self-centered behavior can bring down a group. When a group has any negative roles, it is harmful, but some are worse than others. An aggressor who causes conflicts is worse than a confessor who uses the group as a place to vent. Blockers can slow down progress, and this can be in the form of rescheduling or missing meetings. Our group has had some deserters. Some group members abandon group assignments or tend to be pretty unreliable. It can be very frustrating to work with deserters because of the lack of communication between the deserter and the rest of the group. We tried to address this issue in a couple of group meetings with stricter consequences when group members show this behavior. However, this pattern of behavior is easy to form and even harder to combat in virtual groups, which leads to us to negative group roles in online meetings.
Online workspaces tend to lead to specific roles more often, and this can be seen in our group. As we mentioned, having deserters is an issue that we needed to overcome. In virtual settings, deserters can be avoidant in the forms of being unresponsive and hard to reach. This type of behavior has slowed us down our progress due to having to reschedule meetings and having deserters miss meetings altogether, making certain parts of an assignment very hard to do. Since this is a virtual class, we are mostly communicating through text messages, calls, and Zoom meetings. So ignoring text messages can be very easy in a form of an habit that will be hard to break. Once again, the only way that we were able to try to overcome this issue is by clear communication of the issue, setting stricter consequences for this behavior, and establishing boundaries. Sometimes this means that we have to move forward with an assignment without a certain group member. If this means success for the rest of the group, that's what we need to do.
Now that you're a pro at understanding group roles and what they can achieve, let's make you a pro at group norms as well. So what are group norms anyways? Well, according to our textbook, Introduction to Group Communication by Venditti and McLean, published in 2012 on page 48, group norms are customs, standards, and behavioral expectations that emerge as a group forms. These norms start forming early and then continuously evolve and change over time to fit the group. There are implicit norms that are unspoken and are just assumed. For example, this type of norm in our group would be us respecting one another, respecting our opinions and beliefs. And there are also explicit norms, which are formally written or orally stated, such as those in our group contract. For example, an explicit norm that we have is responding to each other within 24 hours. If someone doesn't respond within that time frame, we move on without them. Group norms govern how a group interacts and functions. Group norms are like the laws and tradition that we brought up in our imaginary scenario in the beginning of the speech. They are a requirement when it comes to groups. In order to function as a group, everyone needs to be on the same page and be aware of the norms within the group.
Some of our current group norms are treating each other with respect, which has been an implicit norm since day one. Communicating our goals with one another. This means communicating what we hope to get out of this class as individuals and what we hope to achieve as a group. Recently, we established a group norm of trying to get work done ahead of time because of myself being deployed soon. This is easily agreed upon because who doesn't want to get done with class sooner? And even if it means working at a faster pace, in the process, we can help out our group members. Communicating issues and problems with each other has also become a very effective group norm because it strengthens our communication, builds trust, and sets forth the weaknesses and issues that we need to work on and focus on as a group. Finally, recently, we also had to become more strict on response due to deserters in the group, like we recently talked about. This allows the group to be more productive and move forward without having to stress over the deadline getting closer and closer. The response time and participation are the norms that we need to change in our group. Before, we used to be a lot more lenient about it. However, we came to figure out it puts a lot of unnecessary stress on group members, which is now avoidable due to the new norm.
As has been said, our group has had to go through a lot of ups and downs with group norms and expectations throughout this semester. Everyone has a very busy life, and it is challenging to set norms and follow along with them. The only solution that we figured out was to set consequences and communicate them clearly. It is extremely difficult to try to make someone do something if they don't want to, which is why being lenient did not work so well for our group. We had to have several group meetings as well as consulting with our professor about what we can do to help our group. Practical group norms go a very long way and can make or break the group. Group norms have added so much structure to our group, and talking about them has made everything go a lot smoother.
Now that you are truly an expert on group roles and group norms, here's some food for thought. So I have some questions for you. Will you still complete a task if you knew you wouldn't get a reward for it? Will you still sign up for this class if you did not get any credit and the grade that you got didn't matter? Some people might say yes, and that they will take it for fun or personal interest, but isn't taking it for fun or personal interest also a reward? Therefore, everything that we do in life is for some sort of reward. Think about your hobbies. You have a certain hobby because you like doing it. Therefore, your enjoyment of that activity is your reward. Getting a grade that you want in this class is a reward. What you're eating, when you're eating food, and how the food tastes and the energy that you get from eating that food is your reward. And this reward system can easily be applied to our group, your group, or any group as well. This leads us to expectancy theory of motivation.
This theory was first set forth by Victor Vroom in 1965. The expectancy theory advocates that individuals are more motivated to perform if they know that their extra performance is recognized and rewarded. According to Jason Gordon, an associate professor at legal studies and management at Georgia Gwinnett College, in his article, "What is Expectancy Theory?" published in 2022, this theory states that an individual motivation with regard to the amount of effort expended is a result of a rational calculation. In essence, people tend to calculate the amount of work they need to do, how much effort that will take, and see their overall performance is going to be rewarded. All of this determines one's motivation to do the work and to do it well.
Dr. Fred Lunenburg, a professor at Sam Houston State University, elaborated on the work of Victor Vroom in his article, Expectancy Theory of Motivation, Motivating by Altering Expectations, published in 2011. He states that the expectancy theory of motivation is based on 4 assumptions. 1, people join organizations with expectations about their needs, motivations, and past experience. 2, individuals' behavior is the result of a conscious choice. 3, people want different things from organizations. And 4, people will choose among alternatives to optimize their personal outcome. To make a little bit more sense out of this, let's relate this to you and think about how you chose this class, for example. 1, your expectation is to get credit from this class for your degree, and you might be motivated by that. Your needs for this class is to fulfill your general education part, or this might be for your major, or it could be just for fun. 2, you chose to be in this specific class and chose the professor that we have. 3, everyone in this class in our group wants different things. Some just want to pass, some want an A, and some just are taking it for fun. And 4, you had an option of choosing among many alternatives and to get here. So you chose among many colleges, different classes, different professors, and you chose this option, which optimized you the best and benefited you the best. All of these choices that you made was a result of your own calculation to make sure that you would be motivated to go through with these choices.
So Lunenburg continued to expand on Vroom's theory by explaining that by these assumptions, there are three key elements: expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. A person is motivated to the degree that he or she believes that A, effort will lead to an acceptable performance, which relates to expectancy. B, performance will be rewarded, which relates to instrumentality. And C, the value of rewards is highly positive, which relates to valence.
Therefore, we can say that the expectancy theory states that motivation is the result of the relationship between expectancy, instrumentality, and valence. To further understand this, we can use this chart that was used in the International Research Journal of Business and Management, published in 2014 by Dr. Parijat and Vaga, who are assistant professors at the School of Business and Management. This table is pretty self-explanatory, but as we can see, when valence, expectancy, and instrumentality is high, it leads to strong motivation. When some elements are high and others are low, it leads to moderate or weak motivation. And when elements are low, motivation suffers greatly. So how trust relates to the expectancy theory of motivation? Well, trust and the expectancy theory of motivation go hand in hand with each other. In order for individuals to be motivated, they must trust themselves and others that they have the time and energy to put in the effort into whatever they're doing. They must trust that they are able to perform the task successfully, and trust that the better they perform, the better their reward will be. Finally, trust that there is a reward in the end.
So how does this relate to our group? Our group members within our group trust each other in our abilities. Groups cannot function if its members don't put in an equal amount of work. This means trusting each other that everyone will put in the same amount of, this means trusting each other that everyone will put in the same effort into participating in meetings, suggesting new ideas, making deadlines, and actually wanting to be a part of this group and part of this class. We also have to trust each group member that they are able to perform to the best of their abilities. In addition, the group as a whole has to trust our professor that our performance will be paid off with a reward. We trust that the better we perform as a group and individually, the better grade we are able to receive. Finally, we also have to trust our professor that there will be a reward in the form of a grade, credit for the class, and even a comment reading, "Your group did a great job," can also be a reward, which acknowledges and validates our hard work. However, we can also trust that our reward within the group for performing well will be a better group dynamic and trust itself. The more we trust each other and the more that trust pays off, the stronger our trust for each other becomes. All the components of the expectancy theory of motivation has encouraged our group to work harder, get on the same page with our education goals, and motivated us to develop trust between our group members.
So now that we've thrown all this information at you, how does it all connect? How group roles affect motivation? Having a group role gives you a sense of belonging and importance, as we've already talked about. Knowing what you're responsible for in the group makes you more motivated to perform that role. Group members will know that if each of them performs their role well, the whole group will function better, almost like a cog in a machine. The group will become more motivated from each other's efforts and have the reward of a good group dynamic and good grade. The better each member performs their role, the higher effort, performance, reward, and motivation will be.
Establishing group norms also sets expectation for the whole group. This goes hand in hand with the trust we've been talking about. If group members trust each other, everyone will follow and respect group norms. Everyone's effort and performance will increase. Group norms are there to increase effort and performance in the first place. For example, one of the new norms that we established, which we brought up earlier, is to start working on assignments sooner so that everything is done a week or two before the semester ends due to one of our group members being deployed. This type of norm sets a high expectation for the amount of effort that we are going to be putting in, since we have to work at a faster pace and meet more often. It also sets expectation that given this faster pace, we're still going to have a high level of performance and perform to the best of our abilities. Our reward that motivates us: finishing this course sooner and finishing with an A in the class. Other types of group norms, such as respecting one another, setting boundaries, and communicating with one another, ensures that we can put in the effort to make our group dynamic better. We also know that the extra performance will lead to a better group. The reward for all of us is that enjoying our time as a group and being comfortable with our group members, as well as increasing our trust.
Since our group is aware that the expectancy theory of motivation is directly linked with and connects to trust, group roles, group norms, we are able to pay a little closer attention to these parts to increase our effort, performance, and motivation. We spent more time communicating with each other, either about issues we have in the group or even about our outside lives, which significantly increases our trust towards one another, and we were able to build a stronger connection. We took some time to establish group roles and understand everyone's strengths and weaknesses, and we took another look at the norms we have in our group, changing some, establishing new boundaries when needed, all of which allowed us to see how we can increase our effort and where we can increase our performance in order to get the reward that we want. So, what are some of the tips that your group can take away to utilize all of this information that you have just learned? If you are noticing that you are having difficulties within your group, maybe due to poor communication, poor performance, and/or the lack of trust between your group members, we suggest you utilize the expectancy theory of motivation. This can be a useful way to get everyone on the same page, to get group members motivated and excited to move forward. Talk about your goals with one another, both individual goals and your group goals. What do you expect to get out of this class and this group? Making sure that everyone is expecting the same result is crucial to effort and performance. If some group members are happy with a C and others need an A, this can skew the group's dynamic and progress, leaving some group members frustrated and having to do more work than others. Be clear about your expectations from each other. How much time is everyone able to give to the group each week? Are you going to do the bare minimum to get the grade you want, or do you want to go above and beyond? Setting clear expectations can relieve some stress and cause less conflict in the group in the future. Get to know each other better. Try to learn something about each other. Ask what your group members like to do outside of class, what their hobbies are. Ask them what they're majoring in. And also always make sure to ask how your group is doing whenever you talk to them, or how each group member is doing whenever you talk to them. Getting to know your group members on a more personal level instills trust in the group, and all of you would be more likely to function a lot better as a group. Finally, communicate your issues and problems that you have. If you notice that your group is not doing as good as it can, communicate on how you can fix that. How can you increase your effort? How can you increase your performance? What can you do to help your group succeed? These types of questions is what will get your group to start working as one mind instead of individual parts working on their individual parts. Once everyone agrees with what they want to achieve and how they want to achieve it, working in a group becomes a lot easier and a more motivating environment is created.
Today, we have elaborated on group roles and group norms, explained what the expectancy theory of motivation is and how trust relates to it, how everything connects together, and what you can do to help your group flourish. Group roles and norms benefit each group in its own specific way. We believe it makes groups stronger and easier to work in. The expectancy theory of motivation is also a key factor in groups. When even just one member of your group expectations are lower than the others, it can take a snowball effect on the group, and it could lead to a large impact of the outcome. None of these points were glued together without trust. Group members need to feel trust in one another to be able to perform up to the standards of the group.
In conclusion, picture your own group today. Is it a dysfunctional group? If so, does your group have roles? Does it have norms? Does your group trust one another? All the points we covered here today will give your group a clear path towards achieving your goal. No one is perfect, as no one will ever be, so we can expect the same from our group. But we can work cohesively and set our norms, find our roles, and trust one another to put out the best product we can, which can lead to outcome we strive for as a group. Thank you.